Okay, imagine you need a system. Not just any system, but one that gets young people involved in their communities, builds civic responsibility, and actually make sure millions of them put in real organized hours every single year. Mandatory hours. That
Yeah.
sounds like a huge challenge, right? Organizing all that. But when it works, the impact is massive. You're directly connecting education with, well, building the nation itself.
Mhm.
And that's exactly the kind of successful large-scale model we're diving into today. We're exploring India's national service scheme, usually just called the NSS.
Yeah, and what's really striking right from the start is the scale, like you said, but also the intent behind it. This isn't some recent initiative. The NSS was actually set up by the Indian government way back in 1969, and significantly, it was launched during the birth centenary year of Mahatma Gandhi.
That timing is really important, isn't it? It sets a kind of moral foundation right away.
Exactly.
And it operates under the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports, so it's fundamentally about developing the country's youth, their future.
That's the core mission, really. It's not just about ticking boxes or administration. The goal is deep, developing the personality and character of students. And the method is systematic, voluntary community service. That systematic part is key. It provides a real structure for them to discover themselves by serving others.
Right. And the whole philosophy, the entire spirit of this massive program, it boils down to this incredibly simple yet powerful motto that guides everything they do. Not me, but you.
Wow.
Let's just sit with that for a second. Not me, but you. I mean,
Yeah.
in today's world, we often hear so much about individual success, individual achievement. This flips that script entirely. It puts the focus squarely on the collective, on selfless service, on social responsibility over self-interest. It's teaching this actively through doing.
Absolutely. That motto is like the philosophical engine driving it all. And the specific aims of the organization, they flow directly from that idea. If you look at what they're trying to build, it's about concrete outcomes. The main one, obviously, is creating socially responsible citizens. It's like foundational civic education, but learned out in the community, not just in a classroom.
And, service is also maybe the best way to learn soft skills, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
When students have to suddenly figure out how to run a blood drive or organize a big cleanup campaign, maybe somewhere they're not familiar with, they're learning things no textbook could ever teach them.
Precisely. The whole structure inherently pushes them to develop teamwork, discipline, leadership, and maybe most importantly, empathy.
Mm-hmm.
They have to work together as a unit, often facing real community issues, maybe social divides they wouldn't normally encounter.
And that direct contact, that reality check, seems like a core part of the design based on the sources.
Yeah.
One of the aims is direct involvement in solving local problems. So it's not abstract charity work. It's about tackling actual local needs, maybe infrastructure, literacy, social support, right there in their area.
Exactly. And because it's guided nationally, even though the work is local, it's always connected to raising awareness about critical national issues, too. These activities, they're never really in isolation. They might focus on health awareness, literacy drives, environmental stuff, but they always link back somehow to national integration, to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
The goals remain national, even if the action is local.
Okay, so it's got this powerful motto, really clear aims. But how do they actually pull this off? Across a country as massive and diverse as India, the mechanics must be crucial.
They really are. The structure is what allows it to scale.
So, first point for anyone listening who isn't familiar.
Yeah.
While the service is very structured, actually joining is voluntary.
Right.
It's open to students pretty much everywhere, schools, colleges, universities.
Mm-hmm.
But once you're in, once you commit, that's when the structure really guides things.
And that structure is designed to keep things manageable at the ground level. You have these local NSS units, usually around, say, 50 to 100 volunteers each.
Okay, so not overwhelmingly large groups.
No, that size keeps people connected, makes them feel accountable to each other, and that accountability piece is vital. The link between their studies and the service is really cemented by the program officer.
Right. And who is that usually?
Almost always a teacher or a faculty member from that same school or college.
I see. So the academic side is directly overseeing the community work.
Exactly. It ensures there's continuity, that the service actually aligns with educational goals. The faculty member is the one making sure the work connects back to learning outcomes. It's not just random activity.
And this is fascinating, connecting philosophy right back to the visual identity, the NSS symbol. It's not just some abstract design.
No. Yeah.
It's based on the giant Rath wheel, the chariot wheel from the Konark Sun Temple, right?
That's right. And that choice is incredibly meaningful. The wheel itself, with its spokes representing the hours of the day, it symbolizes the energy of youth, yes, but also this idea of continuity, of motion, of life's cycle.
Like service isn't a one-off thing, but ongoing?
Precisely. It's a visual reminder that service is this dynamic, continuous process. It's part of life, not separate from it, a constant commitment.
That idea of ongoing commitment leads us perfectly into the actual activities.
Hmm.
The NSS seems to divide things into two main tracks, blending that sort of regular, steady work with more intense, focused periods. That balance seems key.
It is. Track one is what they call regular activities. This is the bread and butter, the ongoing commitment that makes the NSS visible day to day. Students who sign up for this, they commit to 120 hours of service per year.
Wow, 120 hours. That's significant. That's like, what, 15 full work days?
It is a real commitment, and those hours are filled with the kind of essential work you'd expect from organized volunteers. Things like running blood donation drives, getting involved in big national campaigns.
Like the Swachh Abhiyan, the Clean India mission.
Exactly. They're very active in that. Also, environmental work like tree planting drives. It's practical, hands-on stuff.
But not just physical work.
No, definitely not. A big part is also raising awareness. They organize and participate in rallies focused on important social issues, things like drug abuse prevention, HIV/AIDS awareness, women's rights, road safety. So those 120 hours are a mix of doing, educating, and providing support, often by helping out in local schools or orphanages too.
Okay, so that's the regular year-round commitment, track one. What's track two then? You called it more intensive.
Right, track two is the special camps. Think of these as like a deep dive, a concentrated burst of effort. They're mandatory once a year, and they run for 7 days straight.
7 consecutive days. Wow. Where do these happen?
Well, this is part of the design. They're often held specifically in rural or maybe semi-urban areas. The idea is to deliberately take students out of their usual environment, often their urban comfort zones.
Ah, so it forces real exposure to different parts of the country, grassroots India.
Precisely. It's about bridging gaps and building understanding. And these camps aren't just general volunteering for a week. They usually concentrate on a single, specific theme.
Like what kind of themes?
It could be anything from a major health outreach program in a village or a focused push on adult literacy, maybe even helping with a small infrastructure project for rural development. The point is, it's 7 days dedicated to one specific goal, aiming for tangible results and deep immersion in that issue.
That shift must be quite powerful. Going from the 120 hours spread out to 7 days fully immersed, often in an unfamiliar setting, really seems designed to break down those urban-rural barriers and foster real empathy.
Absolutely. That's a huge part of its purpose.
So we see the national benefit, the community benefit, but let's talk about the student. What's in it for them? What are the payoffs, tangible and intangible, for putting in all this time and effort?
Well, the intangibles are almost immediate, and they're profound. Think about the leadership skills you develop organizing a camp activity, or the communication skills needed to talk to community groups. There's discipline, teamwork.
Things you learn by doing, not by reading.
Exactly. They learn to operate effectively outside the, structured hierarchy of a classroom, real-world problem solving. But it's not just intangible. The value is also quite concrete. The NSS program provides official certificates for the service completed.
And these actually carry weight.
They do. The sources mention these certificates add genuine value when students apply for certain government jobs or for admission to higher education. It's formal recognition that says this person has demonstrated social responsibility, teamwork, organizational skills. Employers and universities notice that.
That certification really reinforces the idea that this isn't just extracurricular. It's treated as a serious part of their development. But maybe the biggest benefit long-term is just the exposure itself. For a lot of these students, this might be their first real, sustained look at social issues on the ground, the realities of rural life, things a sociology lecture just can't capture.
Definitely. And that leads us back to how this aligns with national goals. Because the NSS creates this huge, organized youth force, the government can strategically align its efforts with major national missions. It demonstrates the scheme's relevance on the biggest possible stage.
Right. You mentioned Swachh earlier. What else?
Oh, it's quite a list. NSS volunteers are key players in drives like the Fit India movement, promoting health and wellness. They're involved in the Digital India campaign, helping to, bridge the digital divide, especially in villages.
And there are a couple of others we should highlight, ones that really show the depth of this civic engagement. One is the Push Avian.
Yes, the National Nutrition Mission. NSS volunteers provide crucial grassroots outreach for public health initiatives under that banner.
And maybe even more significant philosophically is their role in Ekfarat Shrestavarat.
Ah, yes. Translating to One India, Great India. The NSS actively uses its structure for this promoting cultural exchange, getting young people from totally different states, different backgrounds, to work side by side on shared projects.
So it directly tackles national integration, unity, and diversity.
Exactly. It uses community service as a vehicle for building national cohesion. It's quite smart.
That connection really underlines the scale here. It's not just thousands of isolated projects. It's this massive coordinated force plugging into the country's biggest development and cultural goals.
Absolutely. When you look at the overall impact over the decades, the NSS has genuinely shaped millions of socially aware young citizens. They've made significant contributions everywhere, from rural development and pushing for social reforms to being an organized, trained group ready to help during disaster relief efforts. It plays this unique, structured role in nation building through youth power that's frankly hard to find elsewhere.
So that's the story of India's National Service Scheme, a structure that really does manage to turn that ideal of civic awareness into practical skills, into selfless action, all under that guiding principle. Not me, but you. The success here seems tied to its specific nature, the required hours, those immersive rural camps, the very deliberate link to national integration goals like Ikfadas Treshta. And it leaves you with a really interesting question to think about. Does making community service structured almost mandatory in practice through the education system from a young age, does that fundamentally change how young people see their civic duty? How does it compare to models that rely purely on voluntary interest-driven service, especially when it comes to building that sense of national unity? It's a really compelling model for cultivating citizenship, one worth studying closely.